Hang on, Mr. Douglas. Yeah.
Hello, my ever-empowering people. Hello. Thank you for hanging with me, Mr. Douglas. It is a pleasure to be here with you. As always, as you know. Today, we've got 3 excerpts from the full-on breakfast buffet of the chapter 25, entitled Empowerment versus the Dumbing Down of Human Sensing Systems. This is like one of the chapters, and you will see here shortly. Through these 3 excerpts I have prepared for you. I say this because with the chapter we have first a delicious fruit salad of how significance can be faked and falsified so as to distort what people may consider as powerful. Celebrities come to mind. Sports team stats. That list is massive. Ingo goes into some detail about the significance of the access to futurity. And we touched upon this in the last episode a little bit by discussing how it might be okay to know what something means, but not okay for the general population to grok what something portends. To know what something portends or to have meaningful interaction with the sensing of futurity, which, is meaningful access to empowerment. A power structure serving the powerful wouldn't be very good if it provided ample unguarded access to that, now would it? All of that to build up to our first excerpt. A delicious glass of orange juice, a hot cup of strong coffee or tea. To say that sensing systems of intuition and more, which we know we have species-wide, are sensing systems of significance, which lead us to access of what something might portend, of the futurity of what is being taken in through these sensing systems. And these systems are systems of empowerment. Each and every individual has them, and these sensing systems require receptors. And now in our first excerpt, Ingo discusses the sensing system setup. Do I hear an excerpt coming on? I think I do. If sensing systems, such as those having to do with intuition, etc., were to be admitted as existing, then there needed to be receptors for them. For example, the eye systems were receptors for light and form, the ear systems were receptors for sound, the nose systems were receptors for smell, the tongue systems for taste, and the skin for tactile impressions or feeling. And that was the extent of human sensing receptors. Until developments in electron microscopes made it possible to discover other kinds of receptors on and within the human biological organism. For clarity, a receptor is defined as a cell or group of cells that receive stimuli. So, we have sensing receptors obvious to our awareness in our 5 most available senses. But since we have sensing systems for intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance, mediumship, and bing bang boom, the whole Mall of America, the whole amusement park, the whole Isla Nublar, we must also have sensors for them. The next excerpt, a solid pile of pancakes or Belgian waffles just drizzled with pure maple syrup, good little dollop of cream or butter, discusses how in past civilizations and epochs of history, the existence of our sensing systems was viewed. Spoiler, they knew there was way more to humans than the 5 physical sensing systems. That's for sure. Furthermore, if one studies history with regard to how past peoples and cultures viewed the existence of sensing systems, 2 particularly interesting factors can be uncovered or at least extrapolated upon. 1. Our pre-modern predecessors never doubted the existence of what the modern science has identified as the 5 physical senses. 2. But the idea that humans possessed only 5 physical senses did not exist in the past, even among Greek philosophers who advocated a material explanation for the universe. However, the number and kinds of sensing systems were not particularly well defined in the past, largely because people dealt not with mechanisms of the sensing systems, but with their output quality. In other words, people tended to judge sensing of any kind by what resulted because of it, even if what was sensed had no connection to the physical realms. It is clear that our predecessors, even at the startup of recorded history, accepted the existence of human sensing systems per se. Indeed, the categorization of what is and what is not sensory is therefore of relatively recent origin. Intuition and its associated sensing systems cannot be based only on the 5 physical senses. For example, the sensing of love, hate, and sexual availability are not functions of the 5 physical senses. And neither is the sensing of stealth activity, secrecy, duplicity, truth, falsehood, and even the sensing of power.
Yes, well, the past, however complex, sure seems tasty. There was never any doubt about our 5 physical senses, and they never gave any thought to that being it. They recognized immediately, as we all do when we're kids, that there was way more to the makeup of humans as a species than just the physical, and as Ingo said, even presented by those arguing for a materialist argument for reality. While the past scholars didn't go into detail about the sensing systems themselves, they recognized and viewed in significant regard the output of these sensing systems. They dealt primarily with the output quality, what resulted because of the sensing systems. The point toward the end of the excerpt for me is like banana and chocolate chips in the pancakes, that the intuition sensors and sensing systems cannot be based in the 5 physical senses. The sensing of love, hate, sexual availability, truth, falsehood, of power are not functions of the 5 physical senses, and yet off we go, sensing the heck out of them. Now the third and final excerpt is the custom-made omelet made right in front of you with the green peppers, the extra cheese, the chunks of ham, spinach, sprinkling in some bacon in there too. And this is just a small portion of a large and ever-growing list that Ingo has provided of receptors, sensors, and sensing systems found by scientists in the most main of streams, okay? This list that Ingo provides here goes over 30, but I figure the first 10 is enough for a first pass through our breakfast buffet of empowerment. And the more aware we are of our power and empowerment sensing systems, the more we can begin to engage with them.
A short list of sensing systems receptors that have been discovered. Please note that the following items are numbered, but this is merely for convenience, and the numbering does not establish any particular priority. 1. Receptors in the nose sensing systems that smell emotions, that can identify motives, sexual receptivity, antagonism, benevolence, etc. All these are formats of what are commonly referred to as vibe sensing. 2. Receptors in the ear sensing systems that detect and identify differences in pressure and electromagnetic frequencies, formats of ESP. 3. Skin receptors that detect balance and imbalance regarding what is external to the bio-body, formats of remote sensing, a mixed form of ESP and clairvoyance. 4. Skin receptors that detect motion outside of the body, even when the body is asleep, a format of ESP. 5. Directional finding and locating receptors in the endocrine and neuropeptide systems, formats of dowsing intermixed with formats of cognitive ESP or intuition. 6. Whole body receptors including hair that identify fluidic motions of horizontal, vertical, diagonal, and even if not visually perceived, as for example in the psychic factors, of the martial art of Aikido. 7. Skin receptors that recognize the temperament of other biological organisms, a format of psi reading. 8. Subliminal sensory systems which locate and identify pitch of sound, a sense of heat across great distances, a sense of frequencies and waves, either mechanical or energetic, all being formats of ESP and vibe sensing. 9. Receptors that identify positive and negative charged particles at the atomic level. The term utilized for this in psychical research is micropsi, but which is rare, but which has been frequently demonstrated, especially in the case of C.W. Leadbeater, who published Occult Chemistry, 1908. 30 years before the invention of electron microscopes, he correctly described subatomic particles, many undiscovered but discovered since. Micropsi faculties are mentioned as one of the ancient siddhis of ancient India. See, for example, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. 10. Microsystems transducing of various forms of mechanical, chemical, and electromagnetic energy into meaningful nerve impulses, all commonly thought of as forms of ESP.
Oh, I'm so full, but I could eat more. This information is so tasty. You can tell I'm jazzed. I mean, this is great. I am thrilled to be able to share this information with you and also talk about food. With number 1, the term the nose knows carries so much more weight. We know when we are getting along with someone well. Turns out we have sensors specific to that. Number 6, discussing how whole body systems, including hair, that identify fluidic motion. That reminds me of that story that I used to come up against a lot in earlier days of the internet about how Native American soldiers during World War II were great when they had their long hair at sensing the enemy movement. But when they cut their hair, their sensing became blunted. Number 7, skin receptors, whole skin receptors that recognize the temperament of others. Don't you just find yourself sometimes gravitating to that one person? Don't you just find yourself wanting to be on the other end of the room from that other person? Well, that's your skin receptors. Listen to your skin. I should write like PSAs or commercials for each of these sensing systems. Listen to your skin. In short, we are fully stocked with sensing systems, and these were just the first 10. Yet another meal-sized reason as to why these books are treasure chests, filled with delicious chocolate gold doubloons. I'm eating it up, and I am so pleased to be able to share these treasures, these chocolates, these gems with you. If you are feeling empowered, why not collect the full treasure chest and get a copy of the audio version of Secrets of Power Volume 1, narrated by me. Let's Scrooge McDuck dive and swim through the treasure together. You can find it on Audible. You can find it on my website, MrDouglas.com, MIST3RDOUGLAS.com, and there should be a link in the description. Absolutely visit IngoSwann.com, INGOSWANN.com, to get to know the man and all his masterworks. And as always, I am oh so thankful that you are hanging. Thanks for hanging. And always and evermore, more power to you. And now I'm going to go have breakfast for dinner.